thank you very much to Vanessa for inviting us to speak today. My name is James Cochrane, and I look after business development for Southeast Asia and South Korea for what3words. Very excited to speak to you today a little bit about what3words, the challenge that we solve when it comes to locations around the world, and how this can be applied for mobility services in Vietnam. So to start with, I wanted to talk a little bit about the problem that what3words solves and why the company was created in the first place. One reason for this is that there are many challenges with how we can communicate a location today. I've been lucky enough since moving to Vietnam to travel around the beautiful country. There are many places like this, long stretches of beach, huge parts of the countryside that simply do not have an address. I'm originally from Scotland in the UK. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. Trying to tell someone where I live was very challenging. And so we see this as a challenge in every country around the world. But it's not just places that don't have an address that lead to challenges for businesses. Addresses were created in many cases hundreds of years ago for one simple purpose, and that was to deliver mail. They were not designed for today's digital age, on which we rely upon them for on-demand services, expecting taxis to pick us up in 1 minute and deliveries to reach us every day. There are many examples of the challenges with addresses around the world. In the UK, you often come across situations like this, where I can type an address, like College Farm in the UK, into a map, and a pin will be dropped on the bottom right of the screen here, which is fine until you realise, if you know the area well, that College Farm is in fact hundreds of metres down the road. Obviously, this is frustrating if you're trying to meet someone, but when it comes to delivering services, this is incredibly inefficient at scale. There are many other situations where addresses are not quite fit for purpose. So, in every country around the world, there are large buildings, offices, apartments, hospitals, universities, shopping malls, or stadiums like this, which will have one address. If you type that address into a map, it will drop a pin, in this case in the middle of the pitch, and if you're trying to find a specific delivery entrance, emergency access point or gate as a visitor, it is very difficult to know exactly where to go. There are other situations which can be challenging, one being street names can often be duplicated. This is by nature of the fact that our cities are always growing and expanding, and it is difficult to keep things unique. So in the UK, a good example of this is Church Road. If I was to tell you to meet me at Church Road in London, you'll quickly realise that there are 14 church roads. And if you're not familiar with the city, you can very easily end up in the wrong place. This is the same in the UK, in Vietnam, and in every country that you visit. In Vietnam specifically, there are other challenges, and in the narrow streets in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh and other cities, addresses can occasionally be long and complicated. If you live in this building, for example, trying to tell somebody where you live can be quite challenging if they've never been there before. A lot of the time, entering this address into a map is not possible, and it won't recognise that location. The final challenge that we experience when it comes to cities is that in a country like Vietnam, which is growing so quickly, there are buildings constantly being erected, streets that need to be given a name, and it can be very challenging for street address databases to be kept constantly up to date for the systems and services that we rely on every day. So that's a challenge with addresses. This is a global problem. There are solutions available in today's digital age, and this is one which has been available for a number of years. Obviously, we are all familiar with GPS, or latitude longitude. This is a very good system because it is incredibly precise. and it is universal. So it doesn't matter if you are in the middle of Hanoi or in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, you can communicate a precise location using GPS. The challenge with GPS, and the reason that people do not use this every day to communicate locations, is that it is very difficult, if not impossible, for a human to remember this many numbers without making a mistake. So this is fundamentally the problem that we wanted to solve with what3words. We wanted to create a system which is as precise as GPS, but much easier to use on a day-to-day basis. And so to do this, we have divided the entire surface of the world into 3 meter by 3 meter squares and assigned each square a unique combination of 3 random words from a dictionary. What this means is anywhere in the world can be communicated down to an accuracy of 3 meters using just 3 words. So all of these locations that you can see have been given a what3words address already. These are fixed, they do not change, they do not need to be updated, they allow you to communicate with the precision of GPS using words. And fundamentally, all our technology is doing is very simple. We take a system which works very well, which is GPS, we convert it into a human-friendly format in 3 words, and vice versa. Now, on the consumer side of the business, we have a free app, we have a website. If you don't know about what3words, I would encourage you to download the app. It's the best way to familiarize yourself with the technology. If you download it, you can type in your street address, zoom in, you will see the grid appear. You can select the correct square for your front door, for your back door, for your gates, for your bins. Every single square has an address. So this allows you to discover those 3 words, to navigate, to share, and to input. And importantly, of course, we are a British company, so HQ'd in London, but we operate very globally. And the ambition for the business is for anyone, anywhere, to be able to communicate a location in their native language. So we started with English. The whole world is mapped in every language that we have developed. We are now available in 60 languages, including Vietnamese. So what that means, coming back to the challenges I mentioned at the beginning, is large sites like this, stadiums, shopping malls, offices, hospitals. Every single entrance, delivery point, emergency access point can be easily communicated using 3 random Vietnamese words. In our cities, it means that you can be much more specific about a location for deliveries or for any kind of mobility service, for example. In new developments, of which there are many in Vietnam, obviously, this means that addresses which can take some time to be updated in the address databases that we rely on, every single 3 meter square on these sites already has a what3words address. And it also means that all of those amazing places in Vietnam and around the world that don't have an address, and likely never will, can easily be communicated using what3words, like this amazing view in Hà Giang. So that is a little bit about what3words. I wanted to explain a bit more about us as a business and how this can be applied for mobility services around the world. As I mentioned, we are based in London, but we operate globally. We have an office here in Vietnam, and we are used by thousands of businesses across a number of key industries, including e-commerce, logistics, automotive, navigation, ride-hailing, government, and emergency services. In terms of navigation and automotive, this is helpful because it allows people to input a precise destination in any language, anywhere in the world, using voice or text. We started this work with Mercedes back in 2017, and what3words is now integrated into all new Mercedes globally in their navigation systems in the car. And now we are live and announced with 16 car companies around the world, including the likes of Jaguar Land Rover, Mitsubishi, Lamborghini, Triumph for their motorcycle navigation, and excitingly, as part of our launch in Vietnam last year, we are also partnered and integrated in VinFast. So in their new VF8 and VF9 cars, you can get in and use what3words in the navigation systems. And I can show you what that looks like now. So if you go into a navigation system in one of the VF8 and VF9 cars on the road today, this is what it looks like. You can start to type the 3 words in Vietnamese into the system. You will see as you type the 3rd word, it will recommend the correct what3words to error correct. Select, converts it back into a GPS coordinates, pins it on the map, and does the navigation to that exact 3 meter square. We've done this for voice as well as text, and we recently announced it with VinFast for Vietnamese voice input in their cars, which is very exciting. So I can show you that now.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Hôm nay rất vui được có mặt ở đây để kiểm thử chức năng what3words trên xe VinFast sử dụng trợ lý ảo thông minh VV. Hey VinFast, tìm đường đến what3words, gửi quà, khẳng định, ngân hàng.
Màn hình đang hiển thị các kết quả chính xác nhất mà anh chị yêu cầu. Trong 3 kết quả được tìm thấy, anh chị muốn tìm đường đến địa điểm thứ mấy?
Số 1.
Dưới đây là tuyến đường tốt nhất được tìm thấy.
So again, very simple.
Sau đó sẽ phải vào menu 2.
Bit too early. When it comes to navigation in the car, one big challenge for car companies is that people often will get in, having spent millions of pounds investing in the navigation systems, and the majority of us will get in and use our phone on the dashboard for navigation. So voice input allows people to stay within the experience in the car, and what3words is designed specifically with voice in mind. Outside of automotive, we do a lot of work with e-commerce and logistics companies. So the reason this is helpful when it comes to those services is if you are a customer who lives somewhere that is harder to find, if you experience problems with your address and deliveries on a day-to-day basis, that can be very frustrating and a poor customer experience. So by integrating with retailers on their checkout page, you give consumers the option of adding their exact what3words address for deliveries when they order online. Globally, we work with thousands of retailers, many big brands, and we started to grow this work in the last year in Vietnam, working with many brands including Vera, Jockey, Beauty Box, 7-Eleven, Beloved and Beyond, and many more. For the logistics companies, the reason this is helpful is that it helps to optimize efficiencies in the last mile. So if you can save a few seconds or minutes on each delivery over the course of millions of deliveries a year, of course that helps to reduce costs significantly for the business. Globally, we work with many of the biggest parcel carriers in the world, including DHL, DPD, Aramex, DB Schenker, many in India, and with those partners, we have carried out efficiency tests of the benefits of using what3words for deliveries when compared with the street address. With Aramex, for example, in Dubai, we ran an efficiency test where they saw a 42% improvement in the last mile using what3words versus street addresses because drivers knew exactly the 3 meter square to deliver to. With DPD in Germany, where they have a very structured addressing system, we saw a 15% improvement. And excitingly in Vietnam, we have started to grow this work as well. So we announced our partnership with Vietnam Post in June this year, where we have integrated into their new DHSO map product, and we're really excited about the partnership with Vietnam Post. Also in Vietnam, we've started to grow our work in navigation, working with BusMap, which is the #1 public transport app and the official public transport app for the city of Hanoi, where you can enter a 3-word address into the destination and it will help you navigate there using public transport of your choice. And more, we are starting to see businesses adding their what3words address on contact pages on their websites to help people find them more easily. Again, helping the overall experience for businesses and customers. So this is an example with Deutsche House in Ho Chi Minh City, who have added the 3 words in Vietnamese alongside their street address. And there are many examples of this, including businesses adding physical signs to make sure people know that they've arrived in the right place, Masterized Homes in Ho Chi Minh adding the what3words for their sales office for their new sites, and many office buildings and other businesses doing this as well. Now finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about our work with emergency services, because this is a really powerful use case for the technology. In an emergency, obviously every second counts when it comes to locating someone, and very often people struggle to give an accurate location when they are in an emergency situation, and they might not be familiar with their surroundings. Globally, we have been working with emergency services for many years. In the UK, we work with all police, fire and ambulance services. So if you call 999 in the UK, they will ask for your 3 words to help them find you more easily. And we have rolled out this work with emergency services around the world, as you can see. And in Vietnam, we are really excited to have started this work by partnering with the City of Da Nang IT department. In August this year, we announced our partnership to support their 115 service, so that if you call 115, you can provide your what3words address in Vietnamese to the call handlers and they can locate you. So using either the what3words app, or we have integrated into the official public safety app, the Han Trinh So app for the City of Da Nang, so that offline you can find your 3 words based on your GPS location and read them over the phone to the call handler. Now that's a very quick overview of what3words. I hope that was interesting, and if anyone has any questions or think this could be appropriate for your business, I'm going to be here all day and very happy to speak to you. Thank you very much.